Today I wanted to talk about something that's pretty simple and something that probably everybody should know when traveling, but I'm sure a lot of people don't. So let's say you're European and you're traveling in the United States, or you're traveling in Canada or wherever. If you're paying with your credit card from back home, then probably the credit card machine will ask you, do you want to pay in local currency? So if you're in the US, do you want to pay in the US dollar? Or do you want to pay in your own currency? So if you're European, that would be euros or whatever, you know. And so what do you do in that situation? Well, you're going to want to pay in the US dollar. You're going to want to pay in the local currency. If you're in Canada, you pay in Canadian dollars. If you're in Europe, you pay in euros. So basically, wherever you are, you pay in the currency of that country. The reason for this is that the exchange rates are set by if you pay locally, the exchange rate will be set by your own bank. So that's your bank from back home. They will set the exchange rate if you pay locally. But if you pay with your own currency, then the merchants that would be, for example, if you're paying in a grocery store, their bank will set the exchange rate. And obviously your own bank is going to be more generous to you. They're going to set better exchange rates. But there's actually a way to completely avoid this situation where you go to the grocery store or to the restaurant and you have to choose between paying locally in the local currency or your own currency. Because you can just set up a bank account in your new country, and you can get a credit card or a debit card in your new country. And if you pay with that, you won't get this notification from the credit card machine. Of course, this makes more sense if you're there longer term. You don't want to set up a bank account if you're somewhere for a week. But if it's longer term, it makes sense to set up a bank account and get a domestic credit card or debit card where you can avoid this situation entirely. But if you need your savings from your own country to use them in your new country, then obviously you will still have to exchange currencies. You'll still have to somehow get the money from your own currency back home to your new country's currency in your new bank account. And if you do a wire transfer through your own bank back home to your bank in your new country, then you will be hit by the exchange rates from your own bank. And they are obviously lower than if you go to a restaurant or grocery store or something like that and you use their bank's exchange rates. But you can also avoid your own bank's exchange rates if you use an app called Wise, which is just an app that in my experience works well, and it has very low fees. And what you can do is you can basically avoid your own bank's exchange rates by transferring money to Wise, and they have an account in basically every country. So in my case, I'll be transferring money from my Danish bank account to Wise's Danish bank account, which will be a domestic transfer, and therefore I won't pay exchange rates to my bank. Then they will transfer the money to Canada and pay the exchange rate, and they will ask me to pay a small fee, but it's a smaller fee than what my bank is asking for. So they do the transfer from Denmark to Canada for a lower exchange rate, essentially. And then they transfer the money from their Canadian bank account to my Canadian bank account. So that's how I get my money from Denmark to Canada. And in that way, with tip one, you can avoid the merchant's exchange rates, which are even higher than your own bank's exchange rates in most cases. But if you do use Wise and you just set up a bank account in your new country, you will entirely avoid exchange rates from both the merchant and your own bank. You will only pay a small fee to Wise, and you can do it for larger amounts, so you only have to pay the fee once when you do the larger amount, rather than every time you pay if you use your credit card or debit card from back home in your own country. So that's just a couple tips that will help you save these unnecessary expenses.